It is the RBC Canadian Open, and you have tuned into the DGen Nation station on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast, brought to you by ProphetX. And as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, my Korean king, Kenny Kim. What's cooking, Kenny?
What's up, man? Another big open right before the U.S. Open, one of the oldest tournaments there is. Should be a fun week. Scotty did his thing last week, and we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yes, we will. It was a fun week in the one and done streets for your boy. I managed to pick Scotty Scheffler at the Memorial. I had him pegged here for the entire year, and it paid off. So things are looking good. As always, use code FG Degenerates for 1.5% back at ProphetX for your first 30 plays. Every time you make a play there, you will get your cash back over there on Play ProphetX. We would really appreciate it if you guys helped us out over there. Kenny, you want to hit us up with who's watching what? Was the YouTube winner last week with Scotty Scheffler? Congratulations.
Who's watching what?
Tell the people what's going.
Yeah, so make sure you go to our YouTube comments page every week. Pick the winner. The winner will get a free month of Byron's Patreon. Like you said, who's watching what won last week. Just make sure you get in touch with Brian so you can get Byron, so you can get your free month of the Patreon. It should be worth it this week, especially since we don't know too much about the course. Again, make sure you go. It helps us out, helps the algorithm, helps the show reach more of a broader audience, and of course that's what we are looking for each and every week. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel, pick who you think is going to win. You got to be the first one. So look through the comments, see who's gotten picked. There's some strategy there involved, I guess, if you want. So go make sure you check that out.
Yeah, and put your bell notifications on for Mayo Media, because the easier it is to know when the pod goes live, the sooner you can get into the comments, the sooner you can hit the like button, the sooner you can subscribe, and the sooner you can get your name in there before any Joe Schmo tells you that Rory McIlroy is going to win this week. So we'll see if that remains to be true. But Kenny, it's the RBC Canadian Open. Before we get there, we've got to chat about the Memorial, where Scotty Scheffler trounced the field. Ben Griffin has shown up. He has arrived on the PGA Tour, and he is playing some goddamn good golf right now. So is Sepp Straka. Those three guys are really, really solid golfers at the moment. And Scotty Scheffler now, I think, is the third most, in the history of golf, I think he's now defended his title the third most behind Tiger and Phil. So,
yeah. I mean, if you look at those three guys that you mentioned have won the last 5 events on tour. So, Sepp, Griffin's won twice, Scheffler's won twice. Those three guys have won the last 5 events on the PGA Tour. I had Sepp in the Mayo one and done. I moved up to like 125th in that, so doing pretty good there. But let's talk about Scheffler and his run of dominance. It's pretty amazing. It's getting to Tiger levels on what we're seeing right now. This is his 9th straight 54-hole lead that he has won. He has won 16 events, I think, now on the PGA Tour. 7 of them have been by more than 4 strokes. So what we're seeing right now is the closest we've seen to Tiger since Tiger. I mean, to get 16 wins in 3 years. Rory, to get his 16th win, took 9 years after his first win. And everyone could probably say that Rory's been the best golfer on tour since Tiger Woods. And it took Rory, I think Rory won his first PGA Tour event in 2010. He didn't win his 16th event till 2019. So that shows you what Scheffler is doing compared to the best that there's been since Tiger, and it's like he's crushing Rory.
It's GOAT stuff.
He's crushing Rory. So I mean, really, the only person that you can really compare him to at this moment in time is Tiger Woods. I mean, look at him in the last 40 months. Okay, 19 wins. I think this is worldwide. 19 wins in the last 40 months. That's more than Jordan Spieth's entire career. Okay. 36 top threes. 36 top threes in the last 40 months. That's more than Jason Day's entire career. Okay. 52 top tens. That's more than Max Homa's entire career. 3 majors, more than DJ's entire career. $121 million in earnings. That's more than Phil Mickelson made in his career. And this is all in 40 months, in 3.5 years. So what he's
just
doing,
so absurd, dude. That
what
is nuts.
he's doing is incredible. Now, of course, the issue is, and what a lot of people talk about is, they call Scotty boring. Watching him is a little bit boring, but it's because he's so good, right? Like, let's compare him to Tiger and the differences to Tiger. First, Tiger was black. Okay, that's the first thing.
Scotty's about as white as it gets. Yeah,
yeah,
he's vanilla.
That's the number one thing that's going to bring, that's going to catch people's eyes. But other than that, like when you compare their games, right? What Tiger did, what made him so exciting, first off, was the ball speed. You hadn't seen anyone hit the ball that far ever. He was just, towering over, chicks dig the long ball. Okay, so that was like a big part of what why he became so popular. Another reason why he became so popular is because while Tiger was amazing, he still put himself in bad situations. And it's in those bad situations where we saw Tiger do his best work, right? Where you see the shot at Augusta with the chip rolling down. It was a horrible, he put it in the worst place possible. It was an impossible location to put his ball, right? I mean, it should not have been there if he really was playing smart. I don't know why. So he had to play some incredible, amazing shot to do it, and he did, right? Same with the crazy bunker shots that he had, the shots around trees, where he had to go hack out of it in some really thick rough. Like that's what made Tiger so much fun to watch, because he would make mistakes, and then the way he got out of those mistakes, nobody else in golf could do, right? The difference between Scotty and Tiger, and this is strange, Scotty doesn't make the mistakes Tiger does.
He's right? Like Jack.
Yeah, Tiger doesn't make the mistakes, or Scotty does not make the mistakes Tiger did, right?
Yeah.
His game is good.
Has Scotty ever recoiled on a golf swing?
No.
In his life?
He's never over swinging. He's never doing anything crazy, because he's rarely in a position on the golf course where it forces him to do some crazy ass shit, right? And so that's why, because Scotty's so good that he doesn't put himself in trouble, and that's why he's sort of boring. It's just fairways and greens, or he just misses the fairway, punches out there, still gives himself a shot into the fat of the green so he can 2-putt and do his thing. Like, that's what Scotty does. And he's so meticulous in his planning and avoiding those situations that Tiger put himself in all the time. Tiger was out there. He knew he was so much better than everyone that he could just go out there and wail away or do something and put himself in a position where he's going to have some trouble. And his game was so good that he can get himself out of those situations. Scotty just doesn't put himself in those situations. And that's why it's quote unquote boring golf. Another aspect of why is because there's no true rival. Tiger really didn't have a true rival either. I mean, Duval maybe for a year, Ernie for a little bit, but they weren't true rivals, right? But and Tiger got away with that and built and grew golf because of the way he played the game. There really is no true rival for Scotty either, but because he plays the game the way he does, it makes it boring. And what is needed is some type of rivalry to at least for a small amount of time, because I don't expect someone, because I don't see Scotty stopping this anytime. The sample size is large enough where this could be Scotty in his prime. He's only 28 years old.
Yeah.
Scotty looks like he's 42. He acts like he's 50.
He looks like a fucking giant, dog. Like there's no chance.
He acts like he's 55, but in reality, he is just stepping in to his prime. He's got at least 5 more years of this before he reaches his mid-30s, whereas, some people start taking a little bit of a fall.
But his game isn't even like dependent on power. Like that age is going to diminish him. You know what I'm saying? Like his superpower is consistency. It's going to be like,
and now that he's figured out his putting,
in a way,
now that he's figured out his putting, it's super dangerous. And we could see,
he's so relatable, Kenny, to people like you and I, or the thousands and millions of people that watch him with his footwork. He hits a drive down the middle of the fairway, but follows through like everyone that plays golf on the weekend that watches the game, right? Like that just seems like so relatable to us. And then at the same time, he's just an average dude. Tiger always seemed like a god. Like he was untouchable. He was this alpha, egotistical, like savage. Whereas Scotty's just, I'm just gonna go hang out with Mayo on the patio on Sunday night, and just hang out like all of us do after we've hacked around a golf course, So he's just so relatable, and what he's doing right now is just compounding. He's just, with every win, he's establishing GOAT legacy, and it's just making it's like you can't miss, because I want to see Scotty win again. I want to see Scotty win again. And it's just this like repetition of stuff where, like some people, the game itself on like a micro level per each tournament isn't going to really draw you into him, but his aura and the legacy he's creating every single week is bringing guys to the golf course. And we saw this at the President's Cup. Me and Mike walked around with Scotty, and if we got to the green late, we couldn't see shit. We could see every other group that you're following you could watch, because there was only 1 or 2 people in front of you. That Scotty group with Russell Henley in it was unwatchable if you weren't in the right spot, because people are drawn to him. Average Joes dig Scotty Scheffler in a big, big way. So it's GOAT status, man. So good. And he's now the most profitable outright bet at 3.5 to 1, 2.5 to 1. You have made the most money betting Scotty Scheffler since 2022 when he became world number 1. You would have made $534 if you were betting to win 100 every single time he played. So it's just fucking absurd what he's doing. It's bananas, Kenny.
Yeah. Any merit to the talk that, I know you said something about it on X about live guys coming in and maybe giving him a little bit more of a run. I don't necessarily agree with that outside of maybe 2 guys. Rahm.
I was saying the opposite. I was saying the other way.
Yeah, I know you were.
No, I was saying that it doesn't matter who's there, because Scotty's looking at anyone on the leaderboard like a. He wasn't scared of Rahm or Bryson at the PGA Championship.
I think those are the only 2 guys that on live that can give him a run, and I think it would be nice to see them play more often. Yes, but I mean, it's just those 2 guys. Like maybe Neiman, but because I mean,
no, shut up about Joaquin Neiman in a mate. The only time he's ever going to play against Scotty is in a major, and he just had his best finish was like a fucking 8.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, if you played regular tournaments with Scotty, signature events, non-majors.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like if you play those, I mean, the guy's winning a whole bunch over there. It's pretty easy to say that if he was on the PGA Tour, I don't know if he had 7 or 8 wins like he has on Live, but he'd probably have a couple, 2 or 3 by now in that same time, right? And so, that's more than everyone else. And the problem, is there's been no rivalries on the PGA Tour because all the guys behind him suck. Like they can't win. Like there's nobody on tour that's won more than like 2 or 3 times since him, and like I think that's Sepp, right? I mean, like
and Nick Taylor,
it's Straka. I think that those are the only ones that have like multiple wins like in that time, and so like no one's really pushing him, and I think that would be good for the casual guys. The more Scotty wins, I think it's better for golf. I've sort of changed my tune on that. the more that he wins, the more dominant he wins. For the casuals, I think it's great. For us, it sort of sucks because, we're gambling. We don't want to bet Scotty every week. And,
make the placement market great again, Kenny.
We'd like to see
placement
some variance.
markets are the way to go now because Scotty's just going to win all the time.
I guess. But yeah, I
also,
do.
Where the fuck is Rory McIlroy? Since the Masters, they've played 4 rounds of golf together on the same course. Between 3 majors, it's going to be literally the major. It was the PGA Championship that Rory's only played with Scotty on the same venue. Rory played at the Truist, Scotty didn't. Rory didn't play at the Memorial, Scotty did. Like, we need him. He's the only dude on the PGA Tour who I think has the ability to hang with Scotty. And we need to see this shit. But like what the Justin Ray mentioned, like we haven't seen them together. Or I brought it up on the show a while ago. Like since 2023 was the last time they entered, prior to the last time this happened, was like ages ago when these guys were playing in the top 5, entering around a Saturday or Sunday round. And then they completely sucked it up at the Genesis Invitational when they were doing it anyway. So we need Rory to show the fuck up so that we can really ramp Scotty's legendary status up or take his ass down. Like, this is the time to slay the giant for Rory McIlroy. And he's just not playing in the tournaments that Scotty's playing in, right?
Now, do you think there's going to be an asterisk? Like, say the LIV and PGA get back together in 10 years after Scotty's run is over, right? And Scotty does all his damage with LIV, with LIV, who has taken some of the best golfers in the world away, and they don't get to play. Is there an asterisk with him?
Not when you're winning by 4 or 5 strokes all the time. Maybe he's winning by 1 or in a playoff. But the way he's so dominant that, like, he's taking all uncertainty out of it. Like, there's no variance when it comes to him winning because when he wins, he's like you mentioned. What was the stat on how many times he's won by 4? Like he's winning by
7 of his 16
time.
wins. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like half of his starts. So that removes, and that's to the second best guy in the field. So you're basically telling me that the LIV guys are going to have to come in and beat that second best guy by at least 2 or 3 shots. So I think, and like you mentioned, Kenny, he's so good. And there are people like Tyrrell Hatton, there are people like Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, et cetera, that have very good statistical profiles, that are very good golfers, but aren't winners. They're not closers, and Scotty Scheffler, the mind games that he doesn't even play mind, the mental fortitude that he has when he's in that moment, it's not different to any other moment. He just completely plays his own game on the biggest stage or on a Thursday morning round at the Charles Schwab. It's the same kind of intensity for him.
I mean, this was a signature event, right? And the problem is Scotty having no rivals. It really accentuates itself when you look at this leaderboard. I mean, Scheffler's this is a signature event. It's the best golfers on the PGA Tour that are playing this event. And the top 10 is Scotty, Ben Griffin, Sepp Straka, Nick Taylor, Russell Henley, Maverick McNeely, Brandt Snedeker, Tom Hoge, Ricky Fowler, Keegan Bradley, and Spieth.
It's like negative aura, dude.
Like
just
like you look at that leaderboard. You look at that leaderboard from a guy who doesn't like Scotty. Say you don't like Scotty, and you look at this leaderboard, and you're pro LIV, and you think that LIV would make a difference. When you look at this leaderboard, there is an argument because none of these guys on the PGA Tour that are the top 10 guys are performing in these big time events. It's Scotty and like one other dude, usually, if we're lucky, right? That's in the top 10. And I don't think there is I guess Sepp is now in the top 10. But other than that, there's no one in the top 10 in OWGR in the top 10 in this field. I mean, just so there is ammunition for people who want to make that argument. But I agree with you. I think that no matter who is in the field, Scotty would dominate. But it does leave a question. It does leave just a little bit of a question there. And this is why I know that the PGA Tour doesn't need LIV. They don't need Live. There's really no reason with the ratings that they have and stuff like that. I just want like the top 6 players in Live to come play a PGA Tour event every now and then. That's all I want. Just to get them in there, just to see what it looks like, you know, on a regular Sunday that's not a majors, so we can have these great fields and maybe have someone become a rival. I think Rahm was the rival to Scotty. I think he was it. He was the guy that was going to be, because I mean, you know, there was one that wants to smoke. You know, Rahm seems like he's that type of guy, right? He wants that smoke. He wants to, you know, beat the best. Him moving to Live, I think that one really hurt. At least me personally, because I think that would have given another guy up there who has potential to do what Scotty's doing. I mean, Rahm was the best player in the world before Scotty. Maybe not to the extent that he is now to what Scotty's doing, but he was the best at that point in time. And to see him go to Live, it sucks. It's not like I want Live and the PGA Tour to reconcile. I just want a few of those guys to play, like, you know, 2 or 3 more PGA events. I want Rahm, I want Bryson, Neiman. I want
give us the 10 best guys, Kenny, because we're just talking about those 3 because their game has maintained. Give me Cam Smith. He can putt Scotty under the fucking water, like, on any given day. You know, like when Cam was playing some good golf. He just won the Open
when he was, but when he went to Live,
and then he left.
Sort of sucked.
You know, like, so get these guys back on tour and get their games back on track, because that's the biggest issue. Liv has taken all the big name value, but they really haven't taken the best, like, overall best players in the world. Just names we recognize.
Give me like 10, the top 10 and Live to play the players, right? Give me the top 10 and Live to play Jack, Arnie, and
Genesis.
Tigers and Genesis.
Yeah.
Give me like the top 5 Live guys to play those 4 events. Like, that's all I want. I don't want them to combine. Live could do whatever the hell they're doing over there. That's fine. Let them continue doing it. I don't want to see the tours join. I just want to see like those 4 events, those invitational events: Bay Hill, Memorial, Genesis, Jack, Arnie, and Tigers event, and the players. Give me like the top 5 guys from Live to play those events. Give me the top 10 guys from Live to play those 4 events. I'm good. That's all I need.
Yeah.
That's all I need. That's all I need. Just a little bit more in that field. But I do think the way Scotty's playing, he would still crush them all. But I just want to see it so I could see it for myself. Right? That's what I would like to see. Other topics.
To tie a bow on this, Kenny, I think we also need to be, as golf viewers, as golf hardos, we also, change is tough. You know, like I've worked at the same company my entire professional career, and I don't like to change, but we need to be comfortable with these new names showing up. Ben Griffin and Sepp Straka potentially could be some guys that are busy establishing themselves as great golfers.
Sepp is already there.
You know, yeah, sure. He's closer than Ben Griffin for sure. I totally agree with you. But we need to be comfortable with these new names showing up. But also at the same time, the Colin Morikawas, the Patrick Cantlys, Jordan Speeds, they need to nut the fuck up, man. Like, do you think that they may be trying to the PGA Tour is like played on a razor's edge. Do you think the fact that they're chasing down Scotty so hard, they feel like they have to kind of go on the other side of the razor's edge to kind of stick with him, and then they're redlining and blowing up, or do you think they're just giving up?
I think that's definitely a possibility. Like we've seen Scotty win 9 in a row with a 54-hole lead. So when you see Scotty's name up on the top of the leaderboard, you know he's not going to make mistakes, right? And so guys have to push. And I think you're correct about that. I think you're definitely correct.
Also, just one more thing, like Tiger, when Scotty is 5 shots behind you going into Sunday, you do not sleep good. You are not sleeping good, my friend, because he will take your gold medal from you, Tommy Fleetwood. You know, like John Rahm. It's just what's going to happen. Like he chases your ass down just like Tiger used to do. You know, you see that red jersey in the background there, but enough about the world number one and the next GOAT of our generation.
Let's
anything else you want to chat about, Ken?
let's move on to the Tour Championship. So the Tour Championship just changed. They are not doing the strokes added to it. It's just a typical regular event, winner take all. So they switched it up. It's going to be like that for this year. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, the Tour Championship needs to change because that format was shit. Like, especially when if you give Scotty Scheffler a 10-shot lead on the guy that's 30th in the field, it's over. Like he's got there's like 4 people that can maybe beat Scotty if he enters the week with that kind of lead. It should almost be like switched around. Make it like a reverse grid. I don't know what, put Scotty at a 10-shot deficit and make that top prize like worth crazy money, but it needs to change. Something needs to be different. Like my dad and I were just at the Knoxville Raceway here in Iowa, and when the leader of a previous heat like wiped out or something and went to the back of the pack, it was really fun to like watch him make his way through the traffic, and just like knock guy off. But now it's not a race and you're seeing the scoreboard and stuff, but it's still, they need to almost like reverse handicap it in a way or something, but do something different because this lead thing isn't working.
Well, I mean, at least they're not doing what they did last time, where there was a Tour Championship winner and there was a tournament winner, East Lake winner. So at least it changed that. Now it's winner take all. And I think the PGA Tour just needs to build on that. They need to push it. They need to make it, their Super Bowl, which it's not. They need to make it. They need to push it throughout the year to say, this is get to the top 30. You get to the 30 and you get a chance to win it all. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Look at it through the lens of the underdog. Look at the people love that because 64 teams get in and the guys, down in the 64th seed, they got a chance, right? I mean, we've seen 11 seeds, 10 seeds in March Madness win, right? NC State is the one that I could think of with Jim Valvano back in the early 80s. There's been some recently where there's been 8 seeds, 9 seeds winning the NCAA championship, and the Cinderella type run. So I think what would be great for golf and this tournament, especially the first year, is if somebody in the top, like 25th in the rankings, 26th in the rankings, a Nick Taylor, someone like that, go out and win that event head to head and take Scotty down, right? Something like that.
Are you saying?
No, in stroke play.
Just
in the stroke play, the way it is now, because they're never going to do match play. They can't do match play because the ratings suck. People don't want to see match play. It's too slow. We like to see it, but this is going to be from a money-making perspective. These are businesses. They want to do what's best for the business, and match play obviously doesn't bring the eyeballs that regular tour tournaments does, mostly because a guy like Scotty, all the top seeds could lose, and you got somebody, all these donkeys out there going and winning the event, which is great for like the match play, like the World Golf Championship match play would be great, like 1 week like that. But to do that in the Tour Championship form, in basically the 6th biggest event there is in golf behind the majors, is what it should be. I'm not saying it is, but it's what it should be, right? I think if they can get the underdogs, if they can get like a Nick Taylor or somebody like that, somebody who's outside the top 20 to go in and win this event and become the FedEx Cup champion, I think they could build on it. I think they can make it a more of a watchable product for the casuals. Right? Because right now, I mean, even the casuals don't even care about the Tour Championship, and we don't care about the Tour Championship. I think the way that it is now, they need to really latch on to the fact that, if you're in the top 30, anything can happen. You can become the FedEx Cup champion. You can win the $20 million. You can get it. They should get out a belt or something like that, right? Where the guy just wears it, to his first tee every time he goes and plays the following year, or something stupid like that, right? I mean, I think the only way that I think once a big underdog takes down a Scotty or somebody in this tournament, I think they really need to press that and push it, and I think they can make it grow to become a better event than it currently is. In the past. Any what do you think? I mean, because they're not going to do match play, so we know it's just not going to happen. So this is take that off the tape.
I've been thinking about this for a while, and you ever watch like death race or elimination races where like the last person in the pack gets yanked? Like there's a bicycle race that happens in the Olympics where the person that's lost in that at a specific time during the ride gets pulled from the tournament. And then at the very end, there's only 2 people left. So if we have like 36 guys that make the tour championship, you play the first 2 rounds, everybody. And then after the first hole of the 3rd round, whoever's lost gets yanked. You could be on a random place on the course. You're going to be playing regardless, but you've got to be keeping your foot on the gas to keep away from the back of the pack. Blow-up holes will just totally kill you. And like, you could just be on the course and you should just, you yanked, sir. Thank you for coming. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. So, and then after each 18, you can reorder. And then after that final 18, you reorder after 9. And then you just kind of, it turns it into a bit of a sprint type format. Because I think what the PGA Tour is missing with the FedEx Cup is if you think about the NFL, MLB, there's playoffs involved and there's eliminations that go on. Like with the golf, it's just, oh, there's the winner. You didn't have to get through a stage or a phase. And I think that's the nice part about match play, which will never happen. But this is a way of kind of like trimming the fat, so to speak. And I think it would be a fun way to kind of, the intensity would be intense. Like if Scotty is at 36 holes and he's down like at the bottom of the leaderboard, he could get his ass yanked. And he's got to like, you're constantly trying to be surviving each hole to try and go and go and go. And he might have to put his foot on the gas, make a couple birdies or something just to keep advancing. It's something I've thought about. I don't know if it would be practical or not, but it's definitely different. And there's many stakes involved all the time. You got to make it through each round.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people are saying that they don't think it's fair because what does the regular season mean? Okay. And so what I think they should do is have a regular season champion that gets a certain amount of
30
money.
million.
Yeah. Get a regular season champion. And then it also gets you into the playoffs. So the playoffs it's an American thing. Like we love the playoffs. And in every other sport, once you get to the playoffs, if you lose, you're out. It doesn't matter if you're the number 1 seed or not. And so I think, I don't really buy that argument, that the regular season, doesn't, mean anything if you do it this way. I mean, just give the regular season award. It gets you into the playoffs. It's still going to put you in first place. You're going to make the top 30, right? You're going to make the tour championship if you're in first place at the end of the regular season. So it's definitely playing well then is definitely helping you get to the final leg of the playoffs. So I don't buy that argument. So I think what they're doing now, at least they make it winner take all in that final event. They just need to push it. So hopefully an underdog or 2 wins, someone that you don't expect to win comes out there and wins those first couple. And then they can, really push it and advertise it like this is the playoffs. Anything can happen, right? And try to make it a larger deal. It's going to take time. If the number 1 seed goes out and wins it every year for the next 5 years, it's probably not going to help anything. They really need to get some guys that you're not expecting to go out there and win. And we've seen guys, Sung Jae is always on the top of the leaderboard up there every year at the tour championship. And I guess the one thing it does change is one and done strategy. That's really the only thing that I could see that changes anything for like year-long strategy and stuff like that, especially if you're doing like the Slider Cup like I am. It sort of changes everything. I was saving Scotty. I'm probably still going to save Scotty for the tour championship. But yeah.
Can you?
So
What if totally random idea as well? What if like the 30th, the best guy who won the tour champion, like who enters as the number 1 seed, if he has 10 shots that he can give away for $2 million a piece. So I'm going to give myself 5-shot deficit on the field. And if I win, I'm winning $10 million more. You know what I'm
that'd
saying?
be great. But I mean,
it's
that
kind of
shit's never
chintzy.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
you know what
that's
I'm
never
saying?
gonna
It
happen.
needs something like that. You know, like make the stakes higher. There's no stakes. It's like there's nothing like.
They need to make the FedEx. They need to give the FedEx Cup champion some type of huge boost in the next year, or something that's not like money related, or like if you're the FedEx Cup champion, you're exempt for 5 years every signature event, or something like that. Like 5 years,
Jesus.
all
But
six.
do we really want Brand Snedeker fucking around on the PGA Tour for 5 years? Can you?
Hey, if he wins one of these fucking FedEx Cup championships,
Okay.
he deserves it.
Fine.
Right?
Fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think something like that. They need to give the FedEx Cup champions something big, that they can use in the following year. Something. We'll have to see. One more thing before we move on. The women's U.S. Open. Maya Stark, was the winner.
North remembers.
Who came in with zero form. The one thing I will say about Maya Stark is it looked like her shorts were painted on. I was a big fan of her shorts. If you ever, like, I'm very big on bottom heavy girls, like fat bottom girls. They make the rocking world go round. She is definitely a fat. Something about those shorts, and then like how they raised high enough where you could see her farmer's tan. That shit fucking did it for me. That shit fucking did it for me, right there. Just
Okay, we know what you were doing on Sunday, Kenny. Watching
being
the
able to
girls.
see that
He was having a
farmer's
different
tan
kind of
with
stroke
those,
play going
with
on.
those tight ass fucking shorts. Good God, it's definitely not your mother's or your father's LPGA Tour anymore. With Corda finished second, Charlie Ho had a run on the Sunday. Of course, she was bitching about Lexi Thompson the whole time. She didn't bitch about her, but you know, she was. You could see her just sitting on the grass.
Passive-aggressive. Yeah.
Way very passive aggressive. But that was one thing I noticed about the women's event in Maya Stark, and yeah, I'm a big fan of her ass. All right, so
And shout out Lexi Thompson as well. She's 30 years old, played her 19th Women's US Open.
Yeah.
At 30 years old, that's fucking bananas, dude. That's the one difference between female golf and male golf is the chicks show up much quicker. But shout out Lexi. All right, Kenny.
All right,
we are
one thing
playing
before we move
Yeah.
on, I forgot to mention. Let's talk about if you're going to be in the Toronto area. It's this Saturday. This coming up Saturday, June 7th is going to be, June 7th is the live CUST Corner in Toronto. It's going to be at 1:30. I think the doors open at 1:00 from the rec room. There are still some tickets available. So if you're in the Toronto area, you know, say you're going there for the Canadian Open. You know, why don't you take you go Thursday, you go Friday, Saturday, come join us. All right. Come join us Saturday afternoon. It'll be, Pat, Jeff, CUST, Cam, Rob Pizzola, Gary and Thorne will be there.
Mhm.
I'll be there. Our producer, Mike, he'll be there. So we'll be there for that show. It'll be a meet and greet afterwards, drinks, food. We got the whole night ahead of us afterwards. If you guys want to meet up for some debauchery, I'm down. So if you have your chance, go check out Pat's Twitter feed, or I'll post it also.
I'll put
There's
the
a
link in the description as well.
There you go. We'll put the link in the description. Go buy your tickets. Come see us. Come join us. We'll have a good time. It'll be fun. In Toronto this weekend. I'll be playing golf with CUST, Pat, and Jeff on Friday. Looking forward to that. We got our company dinner at a steakhouse on Friday night. And then Saturday, of course, is the show. So it should be a good time. I'm only going because I want to meet Cam. I want to meet and I want to drink and I probably want to do drugs with Cam is basically what I want to do. So if you want to join us in that experience, you should come. It should be a good time. All right.
We're
So
gonna
let's
we're gonna
get
miss
to
Byron. I wonder how quickly we can get a big cardboard cutout printed out of him. We can just carry
Byron.
him
Just
around.
yeah. Just carry him around.
But
everywhere.
it's going to have to be a 256-pound cardboard cutout, though. You're going to have to make it life-size.
We'll get it there.
I have dropped below the 220 marker. I'm at the 216 right now.
Let's
So
go.
we'll see. We'll
Kenny,
see how
you're
that
looking great,
goes.
my friend. But
We'll see how that
can't quite
goes.
say that your hoodie's painted on you, though. You know what I'm saying? But,
No. But for some reason, man, it was just so tight, and I love big bottom girls. And then that fucking little inkling of the farmer's tan that you saw right below the end of her shorts was so fucking hot. Like, I don't know why that was hot. I think it's because we're golfers, right? Like, I think the only time like I could a farmer's tan is hot for me is like for a female is if I know she plays a lot of golf, and that's why she has a farmer's tan.
or
Right?
a cyclist.
Yeah.
On
The cyclist,
Ragbri.
whatever.
Ragbri is a lot of fun, too, because
Yeah.
usually you're in much better shape than some of these golfers on Ragbri.
I mean, I don't know. These girls nowadays are pretty fucking fit.
Yeah. It's
You're
got a
not-
lot better. Yeah.
You're not seeing too many Laura Davies out there. Great golfer. Don't get
No.
me wrong. One of the best female golfers ever. But you're not seeing like her body type, on the LPGA Tour anymore. Which should bring more people to watch. I don't know why. I mean, I'm a casual guy. I watch all the majors. I watch all the big tournaments and stuff like that. But yeah, these girls can fucking play. There's no doubt. But let's move on to this week and let's move on to the guys. We're going for the RBC Canadian Open out of Toronto, playing in TPC Toronto. TPC Toronto was built in 2001. Now, there hasn't been any PGA Tour events here, but there was a Canadian Tour event in 2019. In 2019, the winning score was -25. Now, there was a renovation in 2023, and there was another Canadian event here in 2024 last year, and the winning score was -5. Now, not all of that was due to the renovation. The renovation added about 300 yards, which is a lot of distance. But the big thing about the 2024 event that was here, lots of wind, crazy wind, like very, very, very windy. We're not going to see that this week. The wind and the weather looks pretty down. Looks like it's going to be pretty calm. Now, this is not the typical Canadian Open setup, what we've seen in the last few years. What we've seen in the last few years is like tight, claustrophobic setups. TPC Toronto, definitely a bit more wide open. It's a 7,400 around, like 7,350 to 7,400 yard par 70. 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. The par 5s should be reachable, and they are on holes 1 and 18. So if you play Showdown, like looking at guys who could start on 10 might be the play, because you get that wrap around where you get, 18 and then 1 back-to-back par 5s, and then 2 I don't think is very difficult. So, it's long, but it's pretty straightforward. 17's hard as shit. 17's very, very difficult. But if you're looking for that 3 birdie, bonus, going Showdown, people starting on the back on the second 9 might be the right idea. Now, 2 of the par 3s are on the shorter side, and 2 are over 220 yards. And then there are a lot of long par 4s. Half of the 12 are over 480 yards. And then there's 2 that are, depending on where the tee box is, could be drivable. There's like one that's 375 from the normal tees, and there's one that's like 335 from the normal tees. I think the 335 one definitely could be drivable. And then depending on which tee box they pick for the 375, because they have a lot of tee boxes here, like 6 different types of tee boxes on each tee, so they can really adjust the distances that they want. They could make that other,
so
they could make that. They could make that other par 4, the 375, drivable if they want as well. Now, what I'm seeing based on this is it looks like it's going to be a lot of long iron play. It looks like I'm counting at least 8 holes where you're hitting 200 plus into the green. At least 8. Could be up to 10, could be up to 12, depending on how short you are off the tee. So long iron play, I think, is going to be very, very important because off the tee, you're going to see wide fairways, pretty wide fairways. It is tree line, but the trees aren't like claustrophobic like you've seen at, like the Northeast events or Carolina events or other Canadian Open events where the trees were really, really bunched together. This one's definitely a lot more wide open. Now the rough, 3 3/4 inches, 4 inches, could be more than 4 inches by the time we get to Sunday because there is rain in the forecast on Friday and Saturday. So
a shit ton of rain too. A shit ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could play very, very long, this course. I think, off the tee length, I think is definitely going to help. If you are short off the tee, you're long out, you better hit fairways if you're short off the tee. And then your long iron play better be very, very strong. And I think that's what you're going to need. Now, on approaches, golfers are going to be using a lot of long irons. Like I said, the greens are going to be above average in size, so fairly flat. The grass is a blend of bent and POA, though mostly bent, similar to what we see at the Travelers. So, like I said, this course, I think you're going to need length off the tee is going to help. Long iron play is going to help. I think putting is sort of null and void. It doesn't look that difficult to putt on. Seems sort of flat, not too hilly, not too much undulation. And the greens are sort of large. So I'm not sure if the wind picks up. I think you're going to see a little bit more around the green play, but I really think this is a ball striker's course. Off the tee and second shot is what I'm looking for, especially with the longer irons. Byron, what are you looking for this week?
I have a question for you first, Kenny. What do you make of par 5 scoring, and how much do you weight that normally, and how much are you going to weight that this week? Because, like you mentioned, 17 is a hard-ass hole. It's a par 4. It's 10 yards shorter than 1, which is a par 5.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's 3 or 4 holes over 500 yards.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That are not, but that are par 4s.
Right. And the question I'm asking myself is, do I want to ramp up par 5 scoring because those are the kind of holes that these guys play? But at the same time, I typically just fuck up a par 5 regardless of the length. If you give me like a 520-yard par 4, I'm going to try and make a 4. But if you give me a 490-yard par 5, I'll probably make a 6 or a 5 because that's just what I do on par 5s. I don't know why. But do you think par 5 scoring will translate even better on a course like this where you got like probably 6 par 5s on this course? So like, technically speaking, yardage wise.
I like that thought process. I didn't think of it like that, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So on holes like that, you're also going to be par 5 scoring is also quite strongly correlated to around the green play. You need to chip because you're chipping for your third shot if you're not hitting the green, if your long irons aren't good enough. So some good around the green play is going to be mixed in as well, because just naturally when you're hitting from 200 plus, you're going to be missing greens too. So I think that's going to be important this week. And I think course history plays a big role here, Kenny. Just kidding. It's playing here for the first time. So just making sure you're paying attention to it.
If you're looking for correlated courses, I know that John Hasselbauer, who's now the host of Preferred Lines with Joe Adoni at PGA Tout, he puts out a really good article every week on X, and he says that the course that he thinks is going to be the most similar to this is the Truist, Philly Cricket Club, that we saw a few weeks ago. I think that was another par 70 that was long. Another one that you could think of would probably be Colonial. Do you not see the Philly Cricket Club?
They were just whacking wedges out of the rough there. Like it was driver heavy.
Driver heavy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But the wedge play is going to be so much. It's going to be like there's 50 yards between most of the shots. So I'm thinking more like Houston Open type situation.
Okay.
That kind of a venue.
Houston, I've heard San Antonio. I've also heard Colonial. Some Texas courses. I've heard stuff like that. Now Colonial is more driver heavy than it used to be. Similar length.
It's way more claustrophobic. This is
it's
like,
definitely more tighter. Definitely tighter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. Just finding an exact course for it, I don't know. It'll be tough. Because like Houston, the rough wasn't 4 inches. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. And if the missed fairway penalty is going to be a lot greater at a course like this than it would be at Houston, and it would be so it's tough trying to find a correlated course. What other?
I don't think Murfield. Granted, most of the people that played Murfield aren't going to be playing this week either. Because I think it's kind of similar in that way. Wider fairways, but penal if you miss them. And long irons in from most of them too. So, but at the same time, just find your guys that nuke it off the tee, long iron specialists who are playing good golf right now. I think that's pretty much how I've put my betting card together, which includes a dirty dozen, Kenny. This is going to be the first time I'm doing a dirty dozen. I had to send Mike a screenshot of who's in the outright side of things there, which you can find at ProphetX, by the way, if you're in the mood to go over there and put your plays down for this week's RBC Canadian Open.
Now,
I saw you were getting greedy on ProphetX, Kenny.
Yeah, I didn't get my matches because the thing is, if I'm not going to get the number I want, then what's the point of using ProphetX, right? The reason you use ProphetX is to get the best number available, is to beat the books. And if I'm going to get something close to what the books are, normal books are giving, then it's not worth it to me, because I'm not a big matchup guy. I'm not a big finishing position guy. That's not what I do. But if I can get the 30, 40, 50 point advantage from the average books number, like a DraftKings or a FanDuel, then it's worth it to me, because you're getting so much incredible value, and that's what it comes down to. Now, the one thing I did notice about outrights live this past week on ProphetX is a lot of the times they have this thing called, they have the field. You could bet the field, right? The field was 19-1 going into Sunday. And it was still 19-1 on the front nine. And Nick Taylor was a part of the field, and he was 1 or 2 strokes back at that point in time. So you could find, so now looking at it, I didn't realize that, that could adjust. And so that's something to definitely pay attention to when it comes to the outright portions, when you're picking the outright winners live on ProphetX. Another thing that I saw was Sepp Straka was 50-1 when he was in second place, right? Now he was still 3 strokes back going into the back nine, but 50-1 was an outrageous number, right? Even if it is Scotty up there, right? I mean, it is 16, 17, and 18 is one of the 3, was the second hardest 3-hole stretch on the PGA Tour. So if Sepp was able to do something, move up and get close within a stroke or two, I mean, it's possible that unlikely, but possible that Scheffler could have fucked up and you were still getting 50-1. I don't think those numbers change. So
I'll keep an eye on it this week for sure.
Yeah,
I thought they closed them when the round started, but no, that's not the case.
If that's not the case, I'm going to have to start. Like I said, this is a learning process for me too. When it comes to ProphetX, we're learning together, you guys and us, for the site. And I sort of, gave the outrights a sort of a toss away. But now, after looking at last week and the numbers that I saw, I mean, I don't know if they changed it. I don't know. So it's something that I'm going to have to look and see. But those two really caught my eye this past week. I bet both of them, just for the fuck of it. I threw a little bit down on it on the site, but and of course Scotty won. It didn't pan out, but just those numbers is something to keep an eye on when you play ProphetX. And so next week we will have finishing positions, which is going to be big, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that. And again, you can get some really, really good numbers. It's starting to get more difficult now as the popularity gains. So, like
and
I
he's
said
called
before,
all of you a bunch of idiots for putting out bad numbers out there. And now you guys are getting gun shy. But
yeah,
I agree. I've also been speaking to them a lot, Kenny, and trying to get placements every week. So I'm pushing hard for that. And the more of you guys that sign up using code FG Degenerates, the more fluid the markets and the more willing they are to put those out there. So it's up to you guys to help us get those placement markets out there too.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I just want to say, when Scotty's in the field, placement markets are the shit, because he's going to take that top 5 spot up, but there's 4 other places that you can still, land up cashing there. So I'm very excited that Scotty's playing so well, because placement markets are going to be great again.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I like doing with the placement markets in these events is going for the elite guys and trying to get, because they're more likely to get, the placement, top 10, like a Rory top 10 at next week at Oakmont, right? It'll probably be, the books will probably have it around like minus 300 or something like that, maybe, right? Minus 250, around there. If you can get like a minus 150, a minus 180, on that, I mean, that is for a Rory top 10, on a course where he should top 10. I mean, that's how I am going to go about the placement markets. I ain't trying to find like, the diamond in the rough that gets a top 20. That's that's not what I'm looking for when I'm doing it. I'm going to be betting Scotty. I'm sorry, I can't use the B word. I'm going to be putting money on Scotty. I'm going to be putting money on Rory's. I'm going to be putting money on Bryson's. I'm going to be putting money on Rom's, right? The guys that are more likely to get the top 10s and the top
sweat
5s.
bets.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I will be focusing on when it comes to placements, and then trying to beat the books. By my goal at one point in time is to beat an average book. Say Rory's 280 to get minus 280 to get a top 10 next week. I'm going to try and get minus 180. Right. The goal is to get 100 points better. It's more than likely not going to happen, but like 30, 40, 50 points better, that's still unbelievable value. And that's stuff that you could definitely get. The one matchup, I think I had Sung Jae, because he was like 10th, bottom 10 in approach on Friday or Saturday. Right. And so the next day, I took him over 73.5. I got him at plus 105. Most books had it at minus 125. He actually beat it. He shot 73 and I lost. But still,
less. You lost less.
I lost less. Exactly. I lost less. And then if you win, you're gaining those points, and it's so worth it. Make sure you go to ProphetX, especially for the U.S. Open next week. Get on it this week, right? So you can figure out how it works, how it plays, and then next week, let's go all aboard on ProphetX for the placement markets and all that good stuff.
Can you just getting ahead of Play ProphetX's round by round scores? What do you think is going to be like an average score to kind of take an eye on? Because it's a difficult golf course, but with the wind down, when the wind's down in general, professional golfers shred golf courses. So what do you think would be numbers to look at for unders or overs?
I think 69.5 is probably going to be what it's going to be. And I think on Thursday, I think you take the under. The winds are going to be down, should be soft, and then it doesn't give them time to adjust, because if they go low on Thursday, that number is going to be 68.5, 67.5 on Friday and Saturday. So if you're going to go with the over under, I would definitely look at it hard in the first round, and I'll probably have a play for the first round over unders. So keep an eye on my X feed at Kendo VT. All my ProphetX plays will be on there.
Same. Check my at the Model Maniac out there. I'll be rocking and rolling. I typically like to get them in early before the scores get like adjusted and what's going on. I don't know why, but that's the case. And then when these placements come out, we're going to be using the sweat bets for this week, because this is what we want to do. We want to use the guys that are going to be at the top of the leaderboard and are usually going to be cashing these bets because they're at the top of the odds board. You're going to be wanting to play them if you just want to have a sweat on Sunday. So I'm going to walk you through the top 5
before
guys.
Before you move on, this is our kickback golf betting segment, brought to you by Kickback Golf. Use promo code FGD15. Save yourself 15% on a sub. Save 50% on all their merchandise. Go look at all their Mike's bringing it up right now on the screen for you. All their cool jerseys, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys, T-shirts of your favorite golfers, either in their country or their college or whatever major they've won. Go check it out. Use promo code FGD15.
Yes, I apparently just refuse to do back-to-back promos on the show, and it usually happens with a casualty to kickback golf. Jesus Christ, they're gonna hate me. But anyway, let's get to the play the sweat bets of the day. I mean,
You
total
need to
disaster.
shotgun that twisted tea, brother. Holy shit.
Let me just.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, my bad. I'm trying to share the screen. I'm clicking all sorts of fucking buttons. My bad, folks. But here is Rory McIlroy. Use code FGD50 for 50% of your first month at my Model Maniac Patreon. Third promo in a row there in 5 minutes, but we are just ruthless on this show here. Rory McIlroy, if you take a look at what he's got up to in the last little while, he has his top 5 market. When we've been doing the show religiously, I've been mentioning that Rory, when he does finish top 10, it's been almost always a top 5. I think there's been one instance since the 2023 Open Championship since then that he hasn't finished inside the top 5 when he's finished inside the top 10. So as you can see in that stretch, the top 5 market and his win market are the only two that have been profitable. I'd be leaning into Rory McIlroy at plus 110. Ties paid in full, as always, for top 5s. I love that. So those are very fair odds given the strength of field and how good this course fits Rory. So give me a top 5 on Rory plus 110 in that department. And then we're going to take a look at what Ludwig gets up to. He's been atrocious the last little while, so I like banking on his upside. In the last 14, 15, 16 months, he's lost you. As you can see, the top 20 market, you do not want to be touching him in that market. If you see that tan line, I want you to restrain yourselves. Do not get aroused by a Ludwig top 20. I want you to be looking at the top 5s, the top 10s, that kind of thing. So we're going to be looking at a Ludwig top 5. He does it a lot less frequently, but as you can see, you've lost a lot of money top 20 market over there. So he's plus 280 for a top 5. Give me that. I think it's a nice way to get exposure to one of the better golfers that is technically a very good course fit and showed some form last week in the final round of the Memorial. So that's going to be Ludwig's market. Then we're going to take a shift in gears here to go Corey Connors in the top 10 market, because that has been his situation. If you're looking for top 10, you can go to Corey Connors at plus 190. If you probably get some plus money for a top 20 bet on Corey Connors as well. He's religiously cashing those. I don't know why this became such a religious podcast, but here we are. We have our faith in Corey Connors this week. So if you want to do top 20 or top 10, I think either one is fine. I'll be going to Corey Connors for a top 10 because he's absolutely been crushing that market too at plus 190. I am very disappointed in Shane Lowry because he was 7th going into the final round of the Memorial and missed the top 20 by 1 stroke and cost me a lot of money. It is what it is. But as you can see, I'm still going to be uploading the Memorial. It's been a long day. It's month end for accounting. So please, FGD50, get yourself 50% off so I can quit my job. We got Shane Lowry over here. He's just been very, very good at cashing top 20 markets. You've returned 380 in the last this year. If we go 2024, it gets even better. It's the only market he's been profitable. And, top 10s, top 5s wins. Shane doesn't have upside. He's just got fat side. And the fats, that's where you can find it in the top 20 there, baby. So give me Shane Lowry top 20 at what? Plus 110, ties paid in full. I think he's just been doing a great job of returning you money in that department. And then we've got another Canadian there. We've got 2 Canadians in the top 5 of this sweat bet segment over here. And Taylor Pendrith in the top 10 market has been sensational. If you can find a Taylor Pendrith plus 260, go ahead and hit that button hard, because every metric you're looking at, Jay, is going to be returning you great value in the top 10 market. You did that at the PGA Championship, Texan Children's. I think those are 2 very similar kind of courses that you can be looking at this week again. So I think he's a great course fit. Lots of people have bet him to win this tournament. I think he doesn't have a clutch gene. I think Ben Coles kind of just gave it to him at the Byron Nelson a couple years ago. He stumbled into that win there, but I think a top 10 play is fantastic value at plus 260 for Taylor Pendrith, ties paid in full over there. Sweat bets, friends. Let's have some fun this week. Kenny, who is your kickback golf betting card? Who's on your kickback golf betting card? Use code kickback FGD50. Blah, blah, blah. Hit me up. I'm having a stroke, mild stroke for the last 10 minutes. As you stop speaking, Kenny, let's go.
First one's going to be Taylor Pendrith, 18-1, 8 places. Not the best number, but again, I'm taking the 8 places. And I don't really shop around because the only book that I have that offers places is Bet365. So I'm sort of stuck with them. So I'm going to Pendrith 18-1 with 8 places. Solid form. Coming in with a 5th and a 12th at the PGA Memorial, going against top dogs on a difficult track. Iron game has been very strong recently, gaining almost 10 strokes, on the field in the last 2 events. Has some familiarity with the course. He played in the 2019 event here at TPC Toronto. He finished second at this event in 2019. Again, different course. Same course, but it was before the renovation. So I don't know how much you can really rely on that, but at least he has some type of familiarity with the course compared to basically everybody else in the field who doesn't have none until you get down to like the 10 Canadian sponsors exemptions in the bottom who's probably played this course before last year. Long carry distance off the tee. So if it does get wet, that will help him because he does hit the ball a mile out. I think he's in the top 5, top 10 when it comes to carry distance on the PGA Tour. And I think that could be helpful for him this week. I also like Sam Burns, 28-1 with 8 places. 4 top 20s in his last 5 events. 3 have been at majors or at signature events. The 4th was a non-signature event, and he finished 5th. That was at the CJ Cup. I know Annie Lack on his podcast, Course Preview Podcast, says that this has some TPC Craig Ranch vibes to it, is what he says. And Burns did finish 5th. Now, he gained strokes in all strokes gained categories at the Memorial last week. The last 2 times he did that, the week after he did that, he finished on the first page of the leaderboard on a 5th and a 12th finish. The last time, the week after, he gained strokes in every major strokes gained category. He's a streaky golfer. If you look at his course history, a lot of his good finishes come bunched together. It looks like we're in another bunch right now. So I like Burns, 28-1 with 8 places. Next, it's going to be Ryan Fox, 60-1 with 8 places. Playing solid golf, making 7 of his last 8 cuts, including a win. Gained strokes with his irons in 6 of his last 8. Very, very strong on long par 4s. And from 450 to 500, you're seeing like a lot, like 6 par 4s in that range. Another one, Eric Cole, 60-1, 8 places. Hasn't finished outside the top 28 in a non-signature event since March. I think that's like 6 events. Iron game, a strength. One of the best iron players in this field. 5th at the CJ Cup. Just like I talked about with Burns. Really, really solid finish at the CJ Cup. And then I got 2 huge bombs. Ventura, 190-1 with 8 places. Gained strokes in every strokes gained category at Colonial, which, some say it's a similar type, par 70 long type course. Bet and Poa are his best putting surfaces. A great long iron guy, good at long par 4s. My last one is going to be John Pock at a 450-1 with 8 places. Was in the lead at Colonial early on. Dude won every amateur award there was. Haskins Award, Hogan Award, Nicholas Award. This guy was the best amateur in the world at one point in time, just a couple of years ago. Won an event in Canada on the Canadian Tour in his past. It was the Saskatchewan Open or some shit like that. He can spike with his irons. He gained in 4 of his last 5. In those 4 he's gained 16 strokes on the field. So he definitely is a spike iron guy. And that's something that you look for in this event. It's a ball striker's paradise. 450-1. It's 275-1 for 12 places. But I think I could see him on the first page of the leaderboard. We've seen him on the first page of the leaderboard the last time he was out. And at this number, with the way his iron play is, I'm in on him. So the betting card for this week, it's going to be Pendrith, 18-1, 8 places. Burns, 28-1, 8 places. Fox, 60-1, 8 places. Cole, 60-1, 8 places. Ventura, 190-1, 8 places. Pock, 450-1, 8 places. What are your IRACs?
Big places, baby. We are just loading up the card here, Kenya. I've got a 500-1 bomb as well for you, but I want to start off with the shortest guy. I've got the Dirty Dozen for you guys. I've got 12 guys that I'm betting with 6 places each. I sent Mike the screenshot. Hopefully he pulls it up right now. You can just look at them if you don't want to listen to me kind of bitch about every single one of these dudes. The overall overarching theme here, nukes off the tee, great long iron players. The rest be damned. You can putt, and chip your way around any golf course. These guys are all professionals. It can happen at any given day. But I think essential stats are distance and long irons. And obviously, the shorter the odds, the better one or both of those metrics are. So we're going to start off with Mackenzie Hughes, 45-1. Was at the top of the leaderboard for a bit of time at the Memorial. You know, the Memorial, you can just fall down that leaderboard real quick. But at some point, being at the top of it is a good thing. And I think in Canada, Mackenzie's probably played this course maybe a couple times with the helmet. So 45-1 for a guy that's got great short game around a course that you can potentially have to scramble around if the conditions are playing closer to level par than we can expect. Now for the nuke squad. Gary Woodland, 66-1. Send the nukes, hit the long irons, make a couple putts if you can, Gary. You're 60-61. Give me the 6 places each way there. These are all on Bet Rivers. Taylor Moore, same situation, 80-1. Send the nukes, chip and putt your way around this golf course. I don't know how great his long irons are. We're going to see how that goes, but he has got some spike potential. Matty Schmidt just basically finished second at the Colonial, like Kenny says. Not that I think that's the greatest calm course, but he is playing good golf. And he's also a lot longer off the tee than people think. And I think, you know, the putter is obviously a weapon he wields with wonder. And I think 80-1 is a very fair number for someone that's shown some good form of late and fits this course nicely. Then we got a guy that's just playing 36 holes today in the US Open qualifier. This is Monday evening, by the way. Max Homa carrying his own bag around Columbus, trying to qualify for the US Open. He's 80-1. Max is showing spike rounds where we've seen some really good rounds from him and then kind of just can't get it done. He might, I think the last time I saw he was making the US Open qualifying. It might have changed since I've looked last, but he is doing good stuff. He's also doing a lot of bad stuff. That's why he's 80-1. But I think, you know, this is a very fair number for a guy that's 6-time winner on the PGA Tour and showing slight signs of return, you know. So I think that's going to be exciting for Max Homa. Michael Thorbjornsson, nukes off the tee, great iron. You know, that's 90-1 for a guy that's got the same skill set as Kevin Yu, as Nicholas Norgard. 90-1 for Kevin Yu, 100-1 for Nicholas Norgard. Nicholas Norgard was also at the top of a couple leaderboards here in the last little while, and I think was also on track to make the US Open qualifying. So he's playing some good golf as well. Norgard, Eric van Rooyen, 100-1. I mean, I'm basically just giving you guys all my DFS plays at the same time here because this is like 12 dudes. It's like what, 1/10 of the field. But we've got this area cornered. So EVR got tons of distance off the tee, and he's also a very, very good long iron player. And he won in Mexico, where the conditions were probably going to be a little more easy, a lot less chipping. But if you're a good long iron player, you're going to be hitting on the greens a lot more, having a lot more lag putts. He's a much better putter than he is around the green. So EVR is probably one of my favorite players. I might actually use him in one and done. Paul Phillips, not Phillips, Phillips, at 150-1, same situation. Nukes off the tee, blah, blah, blah. Alejandro Tosti, he's almost won the Houston Open now twice. And I think if that's a great calm course at 150-1, 175-1, apologies. That's even, I mean, that's and he's been popping hard the last little while. And then 500-1, Kato Onishi. When I look at my models, hellish conditions, very, very difficult. If this course somehow starts playing a lot more difficult than we expect, I like him. He just plays very difficult conditions. Great. 500-1. Put $1 on there, win $500,000. I think that's a solid long shot there for someone that's got some great course condition skill sets, you know, depending on if the wind picks up, I like him a lot more. So that's the Dirty Dozen. There's a screenshot for you. Have fun with that. None of these guys are winning, obviously, but got to put them out there at some point. Thoughts, Kenny?
All right, so let's move on to the DFS Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Let's go ahead into this 10K range. Now, the course suits Rory, but are you worried at all about the off-the-course stuff that he's going to have to deal with this week? He's going to have to answer questions. He's going to, because...
Is he?
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Canadian media is pretty nice, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're probably going to apologize to him for not showing up at the Memorial.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it should work for him. This course should be, you expect him to be 40-45% owned. I'm thinking I go Oberg instead. Oberg showed a little bit of life last week. His long iron play is better than Rory's. He can of course, he hits it long. He hits it straight. He has those things. His ownership's going to be half of what Rory is, maybe even less than half, more, of what Rory is. I sort of like Oberg as a 10K play, and I think I'm going to hedge and use Rory as my one and done in the Mayo Cup. I have Rory left. There's not that many big time events left this season. If you're doing one and done, there is this event, or this isn't even a big event. There's next week. There's the Travelers, and there's the Open. Those are the 3 big events. Everything else there's no more signature events out after the Travelers. So I don't know how much we're going to see Rory. So, and of course, the Mayo Cup ends with the Wyndham. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use Rory in one and done and fade him in GPPs, and I'm going to play Oberg and in at least one of my 2 GPP lineups. I could change my mind and go back to Rory and use him in the other. We'll see how it goes, but right now I'm having him as a fade. What are you doing in the 10K?
Yeah, I think you got to decide. Are you going to get peak Rory and the Rory weeks we want to see play? Because if he shows up as Rory that's been playing in 2025 for the last 5 months, 11.9 in this field is the wrong price. We've just seen Scotty Scheffler get priced 13.3 in a signature field event. This has got a bunch of dudes that didn't even finish inside the top 10 at that signature field event. So I think Rory's the wrong price. So if you're looking for value, you can definitely go there. Maybe a cash game option, maybe if you're not in the mood for the ownership side of things there. But we're going to monitor the ownership. I think, there's obvious value there at 11.9. You can still get a very nice lineup behind Rory with the other 5 guys compared to these Scotty lineups that get real dingy quickly in that $13,000 range. So he should have definitely been probably closer to 12,500 than 11.9 if you are asking me, but we'll see. Then I just think Oberg, yeah, Kenny, he's got the upside. That's why we're betting him top 5. The consistency is going to be brutal. Like we haven't had a good finish from him in a while, and he does have these backdoor Sundays. So if you're going to glom onto that, maybe that continues this week, but he's showing that a couple more times after really bad performances to start, So I'd probably take Corey Connors instead at 10-1. I think he's probably going to be less owned than all the other 2 guys because he doesn't have lots of distance, but he's a very good long iron player. You can almost think about Augusta as a similar comp as well, like wider fairways, but penal if you miss them kind of thing. Corey's not going to be missing these fairways anyway, and he's a Canadian. So I think he's in with a shout here. And the short game's actually been playing a lot better than people think. So Rory, ownership dependent, I will be going to Connors and going to Connors at 10-1. So that's what I'll be doing in the 10K range. In the 9s, Kenny, we've got Keith Mitchell, who's looking delightful. I like him in DFS. Ownership dependent, obviously. Great long iron player, great driver of the golf ball, great total driver of the golf ball. Just hit those greens, just make pars, buddy. I think that's going to be what he has to do. He's been playing some very, very good golf. He's also 50-1, by the way, for a first round leader. Is Keith Mitchell, who I think is always a fair bet there. I know it's been a bit of a weird situation of the while there. Taylor Pendrith is probably going to be the most owned option in the 9K range. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, he's going to be my first cash game cornerstone. Again, I don't really worry about ownership when it comes to cash. Pendrith is my first cash game cornerstone. I talked about him during the betting segment, so pretty easy to see why. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Sam Burns. Talked about him in the betting segment as well. Those are the first 2. And my third cash game cornerstone is Keith Mitchell. Don't use Keith in cash that much, but the guy's been playing good golf. Has only missed 2 cuts this year, and those have been at the Players and the PGA Championship. He's made every other cut on tour this season. He could drive the ball, long iron play, everything you said. So those 3 are the cash plays that I got. I like Shane Lowry at $9,900. I will be, again, iron play, elite, tee to green, elite, long par 4s, the best in the field from 450 to 500. I really like Shane for GPPs. I'll be fading Bobby Mack. I think he's going to draw a little bit of ownership. Again, the fade is he won here last year. I'm not going to play the guy who he won here last year, right? He's the defending
But
champion.
it was
right?
his second win, right? Isn't your thing that if he's won it as his first win and it's his second like defending situation?
Is it his second win?
I'll double check because
Double check.
he won the Genesis Scottish Open after that. I'll look.
You look. Either way, I like Lowry better than Bobby Mack. So I'm gonna go ahead. Either way, I'm gonna play him over Bobby Mack. And Luke Lanton seems interesting at 9,000. His first dalliance as a professional. We know that the guy is a beast in college. We've seen him with good finishes already on the PGA Tour.
Tons of distance.
Yeah, he's got the length and his long, off the tee, solid, really good on long par fours. I think he's third in the field in par four efficiency from 450 to 500 yards. So I like Lowry and Planton for GPPs. I like Burns, Pendrith, and Mitchell as my 3 cash game cornerstones. I'm going 3 cash game cornerstones in the 9K range. I got 2 guys in the 7K range, and I got 1 guy in the 6K. And you probably already know who the 6K guy is. I talked about him in the betting segment. Who do you like? Who else do you like in this range?
So Bobby won. This was his first win, and then he won the Genesis a couple starts after that. So, it would be his third win, so to speak. It wouldn't be.
Well, no,
second,
but it's not about the win. It's coming in as a champion and having all those extra stuff you got to do.
Obligations. Yeah, absolutely.
Obligations.
And it would be the first time he's doing that. So I'm on with you there. I think although he has been playing better, the last
Real
couple
You've been playing well
tournaments. So maybe you just betting top 20 or something. I'm out on Burns. I just don't like the long ironness of him. But I think I'll be going to Keith Mitchell. I don't usually do this, but at $9,100, I think it's a great course bet, and it's just gonna make tons of sense in my department there with Planton being one of those dudes. But I kind of fancy this 8K range quite a lot, Kenny. I'm going to be going to Mackenzie Hughes. I think he's usually low owned, and we're going to get him at $8,900 in Canada. Like I mentioned, all the stuff in the outright segment there. Wyndham Clark should make a lot of sense at this golf course. If he's low owned, I'll take a stab at him, but it's just his game is just in total shambles right now. So I'll be leaving him alone. I'll take a gamble on Max Homa at $8,200. Again, we're getting 80 to 1, $8,200. I think the price is right. We've seen flashes of Homer coming back to form. Just needs to avoid those blow-up rounds. He's doing some good work there. Kurt Kitayama, tons of distance off the tee, great long iron player as well. I think he's $8,400. He'll be doing the Lord's work in that department too. And if you're looking at Nick Taylor, if you think Murfield Village is a solid comp for this kind of a golf course, the guy just finished third there. So he's a Canadian as well by the looks of it. And you guys should know that too if you listen to the show religiously. There's another religious reference for you guys in that department. So those are going to be my guys in the 8K range. Kenny, who are you fancying in this department?
I like Eric Cole at $8,100. Again, the
Obviously.
Iron Game's elite, really, really good from 200 plus. And that's where a lot of his, since he's so short off the green, off the tee, a lot of his tee shots are going to, let's say, the majority of his approaches are going to come from 200 plus. He's very, very good from that range. He's been having a decent little run, making 8 of his last 9 cuts, something like that. At some point in time, I'm hoping he pops and finally gets that first win. It'd be nice if it was this one. I sort of like your Homa call. I didn't really think of him until you started talking about it, but like at this price, and you have seen flashes, I think that it might not, that's a pretty good play. I don't think he's going to be crazily high owned. I like Kitayama, but I'm worried about his ownership. I've already seen a bunch of people already betting him, talking him up. If he's going to be the highest owned in the 8K range, it's going to be a fade for me. But if
Just
he's not,
top 40 instead.
If he's not, I might think about it. But I'm not the biggest fan of the 8K range at all. I'm not the biggest fan. So I'll probably not be using too many people here. And once we get to the 7K range, I do like your guys. I like Gary Woodland a lot. Gary Woodland's actually in my cash lineup right now. He's in the cash lineup, but my last cash game cornerstone is Ryan Fox, and that's going to be at 7,600. I talked about him during the betting segment as well. So the cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Taylor Pendrith at 9,600, Sam Burns at 9,300, Keith Mitchell at 9,100, and then Ryan Fox at 7,700. Again, like I said, Gary Woodland is also in my cash lineup this week. I like your Matty Schmidt call. He comes in second in my model with elite iron game play, elite long iron play, third from 200 plus, first from 175 to 200. He's 12th in driving distance. He makes a ton of sense. I'm worried about his ownership. If he's going to be double-digit owned, I might shy away down there. And if I'm going to shy away, maybe I go with little Rico Hui down there at 7,300 against 6th in strokes gained tee to green in the last 24 rounds in this field. Very, very accurate and sort of long off the tee. Like he's got a decent combo when it comes down to really good from 175 to 200. So I like Rico Hui down here. Henrik Norlander at $7,100. Again, elite iron play, elite long iron play, especially from 175 to 200. He's another guy that I'll look at. Toasty at 7,100 with his length. Stephen Fisk at 7,000 with really, really strong iron play, 8th in strokes gained tee to green in the last 24 rounds. Top 15 in bogey avoidance. Top 20 in strokes gained off the tee. He has the length. I like Fisk down here in the lower 7K range. Who do you like?
I like Fisk too. He's been doing some good work. He's been popping up a lot in showdown models too. So he's got that upside that you're looking for. Just needs to get the consistency under wraps. By the way, shout out Flag Hunting Pod. Go check out my man Ian. Mentioned that Rico Hui is the best total driver of the golf ball. When you're taking rankings of distance plus accuracy, no one is better than him. So on the PGA Tour, which is a perfect combination for this golf course, So Rico, definitely Uncle Rico there. Benny On at $7,400. It's a pedigree golfer that's $7,400 in a field like this at a bomber's paradise. He's got tons of distance off the tee. Love him. Nicholas Norgard Miller mentioned already. Michael Thorbjornsson, Taylor Moore, Kevin Yu, Jake Knapp. I think those are all guys I'll be looking at for sure. Then we take a look a little further down here. Eric Van Rooyen's going to be there. Rico Hui I'll be going with. By the way, people, do not get your asses confused. There's two Svensons at $7,200. There's an Adam and a Jesper. One's from Sweden, the other one's an American or Canadian. Sorry. Doesn't matter where they're from. They're two different people. Don't click the wrong guy. They're the same price. Don't do this. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and click. Figure your shit out. Toasty at $7,100. I'm down. Quade Cummings will be someone I'll be looking at, and Lee Hodges as well. Lee Hodges on a driver-intensive golf course that you got to make a couple putts on. I'll take a gamble on him. So he's someone I'll be looking at the bottom of the 7K range here, Kenny. Then the 6th range is going to be interesting. If you're taking a look at Joel Damon at $6,800, I think he might be low owned. Exceptionally good long iron player, very accurate off the tee. And if conditions are difficult, he doesn't have to make a million birdie putts. He's a great par maker. I think we can take a look at Joel Damon getting the job done for you at $6,800 for sure. Chris Ventura, like you mentioned, a great option in that department. Yeah. And then it gets nasty. Maybe Harry Higgs, Gordon Sargent are two guys. No, do not play Gordon Sargent. He's been playing terrible. I don't think he even made the team. I think Gordon Sargent, Kenny's going to actually get his tour card for the next year or soon, but isn't currently on his university team, which is a very interesting situation. To be getting your tour card soon, like it's guaranteed he's getting it, but you're not playing on your varsity NCAA team. Because you're playing that bad. It's a very interesting paradox there. So Thomas Rosenmuller is someone that I'll be looking at for sure. I think he can absolutely get it done. David Skins at $6,400. Tons of distance off the tee for an old gray Englishman. I think you can be looking at him there. Jackson Suba at $6,400. Definitely someone that you can take a peek at there. And Paul Waring. I like him on these longer courses too. I think he's going to be just fine at $6,300. And then Kato Onishi, I'll be playing him at $6,200 too.
So John Poch is going to be my hustler play of the week. I did talk about him during the betting segment. Like I said, he's won every amateur award, the Nicholas Award, the Haskins Award, the Hogan's Award. He won them all when he was in college. He won an event in Canada when he was on the Canadian Tour. Again, iron spiking. He's 6th in the field in the last 24 rounds in strokes gained approach. He's 11th in the field in proximity from 200 plus. He's 14th in the field from proximity from 175 to 200. This is all in the last 24 rounds. He was on the first page of the leaderboard at Colonial. So John Pak is going to be my hustler play of the week. He also does round out my cash lineup to go along with my cash game cornerstones, Gary Woodland and John Pak. Other guys I do like in the 6K range. Joel Dahman, he does make sense. Chandler Phillips at $6,800 with the iron play. Really, again, well above average and even good from his long iron. So I think he's 20th from proximity from 200 plus. I think he's about 42nd from 175 to 200. Nick Hardy is another guy who I think just recently, I know he hasn't been doing the greatest, but looking at him here recently, he came at 11th at the Charles Schwab, gained almost 5 strokes with his irons that week. Will Gordon, another guy who performed well recently at 6,600, I think is Will Gordon. Again, top 10 in both proximity from 200 plus and proximity from 175 to 200 in the last 24 rounds. Exceptionally long off the tee. Luke List has had some decent finishes here recently on the Corns Ferry Tour and on the regular tour. Again, a ball striker machine who's really, really strong off the tee. Those are basically it for me.
You don't want to play Brandt Snedeker? We finished 7th at the Memorial last weekend at $6,700.
No, I was thinking, Chris Ventura.
How the hell did that even happen?
If I remember correctly, something about I had Snedeker ranked like top 15 in my model when it came to difficult courses that were long and some shit. He was like 18th in my model last week. So
I mean,
whatever he's doing, he
Yeah.
does well on those hard ass
Jesus
courses,
Christ.
man. I guess is what it comes down to. And I was in the last like 50 or last 100 rounds. It wasn't recent. So the guy's just been good in those
Just
situations.
flash in the pan.
Throughout his career. And I guess when he gets older, those are the ones that he can stay afloat at because everyone's around even par, right? He's not going to go and make
Matt Kuchar stuff.
birdies.
Yeah.
He's not going to make 28 birdies, in an event. He might make 16, 15 and be in the mix, if it's that type of course,
Yeah. Absolutely. So one and done, Kenny. I'm looking to go back to back in the one and done market. I think I'm going to be going with EVR or Nicholas Norgard. We'll see which one I want to kind of take a look at there. I'll take a look at some ownership in the DFS street, see, that I'm cool with both. I really fancy them a lot. I burned Rory at the Genesis when he had his worst putting performance over a weekend in his basically career. So
I think I'm going to hedge. I'm like 125th now in the Mayo Cup. I think I'm going to go use Rory. In this one, in the Slider Cup, I'm still 3rd. And I don't know. I don't have Rory in that one, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I think there's like 9 tournaments left on the calendar, so I might be going the wrong way, but I think in a field like this, anyone can win it. So I'm not too worried. Unless you don't have Rory, you can go pretty much anywhere. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think Rory's only like 28% availability. Now my guess is if all 28% of those people are probably going to use him this week. But let me double check here. What's his availability? Oh, it's 17%. 17% availability going into this week. So, but I would expect him still to be the highest owned.
Genesis Scottish Open and the Open Championship are still 2 good spots for him, though.
Yeah, an Open Championship is something I was thinking of. I'm thinking I might use Xander. I was thinking, either Xander or Hatton for that one. But maybe I'll change my mind on Rory, and maybe I'll go Pendrith. Have I used Pendrith yet? I have not. So maybe I go Pendrith, but that's so chalky. I don't know. I haven't decided.
No, I would love the Rory play. You could see Pendrith come in at 17% ownership, Kenny.
Yeah.
Why not just go with Rory then?
I think I'm going to go
other guys
Rory.
you can go with at the Opens and stuff like that. I think that's a great. You got him in your pocket. Go with him.
Yeah.
You're good to go
Yep.
there, especially in the Mayo Cup for sure. When the Wyndham is the last one over
Mhm.
there. All right, people. Use code FGD54, the Model Maniac Patreon, all the tools I showed you earlier with the betting stuff, all my models, all my showdown stuff. We had a guy take down 20K at the Charles Schwab. We had two guys win the same exact showdown slate with different lineups. So the call was pretty good that day. Use code FGD50 over there. Use code FG Degenerates. FG Degenerates. I've got so many codes in my head. FG Degenerates gets you your 1.5% back there at Play ProphetX for your first 30 days worth of plays up there, up to $200. And then use code FGD15 over at Kickback Golf for all the sick merchandise they have over there with the jerseys for basketball and baseball with all your favorite golfers from all their alma maters with all the tournaments that they've won or shot their lowest rounds at. Thank you for dealing with me and my minor stroke this podcast. I am healthy, I'm wealthy and wise. Kenny, get us the hell out of here. I love you.
Find me on X at KendoVT. I'll have my ProphetX plays. I'm a final betting card all on there. Any live ads, all that good stuff at KendoVT. 1 week before the US Open, this is one of the oldest tournaments in the PGA Tour. It should be a fun week. Brand new course. Let's win some motherfucking money. DGen Nation.